My next interview from 2023 is with someone whose personality you wouldn't imagine was from somebody who's a spiritualist and a psychic. She's no fluff, no BS, and gives you a straight but powerful answer to your questions. Corbie Mitleid is a tarot reader and a psychic with a keen sense for the unseen. She can offer spiritual insight as quickly as she can see your past life. A true channel and someone I can't wait to revisit together. But before we begin, I wanted to let everybody know that every Sunday, I will be releasing a newsletter called This Week in the Sky, where I'll be letting you all know what's going on in the sky that week. So if there's a full moon, a new moon, a retrograde, a planet going direct, if there's special aspects, and I'll be relating them to each sign. And I'll also be adding a tarot reading for wisdom for the upcoming week, as I think that that's a really nice way to set up your energetic makeup for the week ahead. So if you're interested in receiving those messages once a week in your inbox, use the description box below to find the link, and it's really easy to sign up. I'm just on Substack, and that's the platform that I use the most to communicate. So if you like me and you want to get to know me more, or you want to communicate with me, that's where I go live. That's where I'm in a chat. That's where I'm introducing myself and connecting with all of you in community. So subscribe to my Substack if you want to get closer to me. And now I have the extreme pleasure to reintroduce you all to Corbie Mitleid. This is part 1 of her 2023 interview with me. Enjoy. Hello, Corbie, and welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining me.
It's great to be here. Thank you for asking.
So I want to start out with the fact that you've had so many jobs before you became a full-time psychic. You were an actress, an author, a legal secretary, video producer, graphic novel work for hire, editorial assistant, executive recruiter. And I mean, I can totally relate because I've had just a million jobs before this.
Yeah.
But I wanted to know, why didn't you jump straight? I know you started reading at 13, but why didn't you jump straight into psychic work when maybe you were a little bit older, maybe in your teenage years or your 20s?
Because I really wanted to do theater at that point. Theater major at Brown University. I'd wanted to act since I was 9. And at that point, the psychic work wasn't as ubiquitous, as normally accepted as it is now. Part of my problem was that I was one of those out there young women. And so it's like when I was a legal secretary, they gave me to the meanest SOB in the Valley in Atlanta. He had gone through 5 secretaries in 3 years, and he and I loved each other because I was smart and I was equal to a lot of his paralegals. But the office manager, this was a 400-person law firm, hated me because inferiority complex. So finally, it was my 3rd year there, and I noticed everybody else was getting their reviews for the raise, and I wasn't. And I went to her office and I said, "Ginny, what's going on?" She said, "You can work here as long as you want, but I'm never going to give you a review, and I'll never get a raise for you." And so that kind of, look, I'll be honest, Vanessa, I am a charismatic. I walk into a room 3 feet before I walk into a room. You either love me or you hate me. And at 68, you don't like me, live and be well, baby, I'm over here. But when you are 20s, 30s, and I looked the way I did at that point, that was before the 3 cancer dances, so I still had a Dolly Parton figure, no joke. Then you don't really know who you are. You're trying desperately to find who you are. And at that point, you think that who you are is only what you look like. That's why, what you may not know, you wanted to talk about Robert Schwartz and my work with him. I'm actually one of the only people that's been in his books from both sides of the fence. I am one of his channels, but if you read in Your Soul's Plan, the physical illness chapter, Doris with Cancer, that's me. So, it was a matter of I came in to learn how to deal with looking like a female and not using it as a bargaining chip. And I didn't get it because I thought I wasn't allowed to be otherwise, which is why in 2004, year and a half after I married my husband, the universe said, look, we need you down there to teach, so we're going to remove the problem. I got a second primary, which, puts the danger clock back to 0. But the doctor said, okay, 3 strikes, you're out. We're taking the rack, we're taking the ovaries, and you're going from this Dolly Parton figure with a libido of a 17-year-old boy to a fat fire plug with permanent side effects, and we're going to damage you so much internally. Sex is out of the question for the rest of your life. See you in 3 weeks.
Wow.
That's
wow.
That's how I learned to live the examined life.
That's incredible.
And I don't want it, but it's going to happen. First, how can I learn with it? Second, for me, how can I teach with it? And then next, the only time I talk about the fact that I've done the cancer dance is when I'm teaching like this. I don't introduce myself as, hi, I'm Mary Sue. I'm a cancer survivor. In 1973, I was the Betty Crocker Homemaker of Tomorrow for New Jersey in my senior year in high school. Yeah, I was, but I don't talk about that now because I've moved on. So that's one of the reasons why the different jobs. And the psychic work was truly what I wanted to do. I didn't get really, really good at it until the early 90s, when all of a sudden I could do hands-on healing and talk to dead people with no training. That's when I started doing it professionally part-time. Went full-time on 9/11 when we watched the towers burn. And I looked at my husband and I said, I got to do this full-time. People need to know there are other answers out there. He said, I believe in you, go do it. Because I had his support, because I didn't have to be the only breadwinner for myself. I had the chance to do this, but that's where the book, You've Got the Magic Who Needs a Genie, came from, because I pushed. For 18 years, I was on the road 45 weekends a year. I worked 6 days a week, 14 hours a day. But now, I won't say I coast. I still work hard, but I don't have to push the work. The work comes to me.
Oh, I imagine. Yeah, I'd imagine at this point.
Finding your sentence of passion and making it work for you.
That's really, for me personally, that's so relatable, because I started out with acting. I wanted to be an actor, but magic haunted me for a really, really long time. And I just didn't, I thought I'd grow out of it. I thought it was something that, just like, I know, right? And as I went in further into acting, the objectification, I'd had a couple of run-ins with people who were bigger in the industry that really, kind of gave me a taste of what it would be like to be further in. And I started, I didn't have such of a distressing experience, but I started, undressing all of the things that made me stand out in order to kind of back up. And then magic started coming, up to the surface for me. I really appreciate. I told you I read a couple of your books. I didn't know that you were so into acting that way. So I really appreciate that you mentioned that, because that is like, you just feel like, is this tainting it? Am I going the wrong way? Am I doing the wrong thing? And it's true. You just follow your heart, follow the direction that you're meant for. These psychic senses, is there anybody else in your family that does this? Are you, anybody else awoken to it? Anybody else?
No, there are members of my family that think I'm a charlatan who steals people's money. They tell everyone I'm a motivational speaker.
Really? Mm-hmm. Wow. Some people, yeah.
I'm sorry. You cannot do what I have done full-time for 20 years and read over 20,000 people and been a fake. I ain't Thomas John, honey. This is the real deal.
No, and everybody's kind of out to find the charlatan anyways sometimes. So you have so many incredible reviews, and obviously have run the gamut so much that's actually just ridiculous. At some point, I would hope that somebody in your family or whoever's saying that would just say, wow, I just didn't know. But some people just can't do that.
One person in the younger generation knows and delights in it, but his parents, no. So
that's wow. So interesting. And me too. I don't have anybody in my family too. Most people I meet have at least, one, like my great grandmother read my cards, or I heard about this one person, like something. And no, that's so interesting. Okay.
1973, what came out? Live and Let Die,
right,
with Jane Seymour's Solitaire. Spencer Gifts had the James Bond 007 Tarot deck. I bought it. We were all hippies then. You needed a deck.
And that's how it got introduced to you. You picked up a deck and you just started reading people. You were just having fun with it.
That's right. That's right. I had my elephant bell bottoms, my David Crosby fringe jacket, and my deck.
Oh,
The uniform.
And you said you're from New Jersey?
Cherry Hill.
My mom's from Hoboken.
No, there you go. You're north, we're south.
Ah, yes. Okay.
Big difference.
Yeah, big difference.
Yeah. Technically, my ambiance is Philly.
Got it. Okay.
We're right across the river from there.
I gotcha. Okay. That's so just so cool to see so many similarities. That's so interesting. So you said, like you just said this, and I read this in 2 of your books about 9/11 and how you wanted to, that was kind of the jolt that pushed you to really go out there. And I was just curious, what are you showing people? What is it that you felt inside that people would get from your readings that would maybe counteract this, obviously like a conscious issue or collective conscious issue?
That when you look at your life, you can decide on it. Here are the opportunities and how to grab it. Here's the tough stuff. Here's how to get through it or around it. I tell people, here's your toolbox. I am not the repairman. People buy into fear. It's what they're doing now. It's why we're in such a... Why do people put AK-15s on their Christmas cards? Because they're afraid of what happens if they don't. Fear is false evidence appearing real.
You said that acronym. I don't remember which book that came in, but you had said that. And I was like, that is so real. That is very,
do you know
very
who
true.
I learned that from? Mary Kay Cosmetics in the 80s. That was what Mary Kay Ash said. But
hey, if it works, if it works, it ain't broke. Don't fix it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you also, so a big part of one of your books, the Genie, it's called You've Got the Magic, Who Needs a Genie? The A-Lister's Guide to the Holistic Expo Success.
Yes.
You went on the road. You went on the road, and it's very impressive and very brave. What was your favorite, if you have one, what was your favorite psychic fair?
Oh, there are a couple. And it's not so much the fairs as the promoters. Okay. There's one in Canada, one here in York, PA. The one in Canada was run by First Star Psychic. There's that Stan Mallow and Ray Fauché. In fact, Stan wrote the foreword to Genie. Brilliantly run, but they have, of course, retired, as they are entitled to do. And down here, Bill Trivet and Bob Hall ran the New Visions Fair in York, PA. Bill passed away. Bob is still there, but he's turning it over to the next generation. And it's still a fabulous show. If I was still traveling, I would be there in a heartbeat. But
really,
the universe made it very clear to me that my traveling days were done. And I don't know if that's in either of the books.
No, it was not.
Okay.
You didn't give me a hard end to why.
Okay.
Yeah, like
It's
I assumed it was over, but...
My nickname was the Travel Channel. I loved the travel. I loved being a Hilton Diamond. You walk in and we're not worth. It was great.
Yes.
But I'd been getting the nudge from upstairs. You really should work from home now. Wouldn't do it. All of a sudden, in July 19, I got a herniated disc and pinched nerve, and the pain makes having triplets feel like a tea party. 4 months later, I had gotten myself relatively together, but the doctor said, traveling is toast. You can't do the 10-hour drives. You can't do the load in and the load out. Your back won't take it. So in 4 months, I scrambled to put my business totally online. And what happens in March of 2020, but the years of Murder Hornet Bingo and Hold My Beer. Everybody that I know who only did the circuit, bankrupt. Me, I'm doing better than I ever did. But the shows are coming back. And, why should the kids that are, young enough to do that reinvent the wheel? Here, take everything that I did. There are 8 billion people in the world. I can't read them all. And I'm 68. I'll be dead in 30 years. We're going to still need psychics.
That is I love that. And another thing you said a lot in your book that is very true. I love your no nonsense. I love how candid you are. I mean, Yeah, obviously you've been through a lot too. So what's the point of pussyfooting around anything?
Hmm.
It's just, this is who I am. This is what I have to offer. And this is, if you like it, great. If you don't, you can move on. Like, I
And
think that's
there
so great.
some stories that I was able to tell that, I mean, there are a couple of books out there, how to be a kick-ass tarot reader, how to have a spiritual business, but I get down to the dirties. For instance, in the back of the book, I give you an example of my sign-in sheet, which has name, birthday, because I do numerology, email, and is it your first time with me? And I always have the client write it down unless they cannot write for some reason. They are not able to write, and I will do it for them. But the reason is, years ago, up in London, Ontario, I did a reading for a 20-something guy who wasn't pleased. The next day, I found an anonymous death threat on my table. So it was handwritten, picked it up, matched it up with the writing on my sign-in sheet, handed it to the Ontario police. Look, kids, as much as we love what we do, it is not all flowers, glitter, and unicorn farts. There are people out there who cannot stand us. And, just like Karens. But,
Yeah,
you know,
exactly. Yeah.
so you have to realize you have to run this like a business.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. And actually, that's funny. That was going to be my next question, was about the person who left you a death threat. I was going to ask what was you don't have to name names by any means, but what was your least favorite? Well, I mean, what's your least favorite fare? And I was wondering if it happened to be at that same one that person did
No,
that.
no. The least favorite fairs, there was a circ, and again, it's so far back. I think it was Mind, Body, Spirit, which is not like Mind, Body, Soul Expo, which is great up in Saratoga. But it was a big show. You paid a ton of money, and crickets. Nobody came through the door. A good promoter, for instance, I will still do a one-day show, local. Jem Rhodes of the Mind, Body, Soul Expo in Saratoga. It's one day. She had 2,000 people through the door. I read nonstop 10 to 6. That's a good promoter. Anna Rossman out in Liverpool, New York, same thing. 2 days. I was always sold out by 2 p.m. and the show went until 8:30.
That is a very good promoter. That is great.
Yep.
And also making it very safe, because it's true. Not everybody, some people I've met feel like, you get too close to a tarot deck and you're cursed kind of thing, and it's like, wow, if you can even win over people who are very nervous, that's great.
Well, that's the whole thing. I mean, there are a lot of psychics, and we very often have front people. And it's, yes, she has been reading for 17 years and her mother did and blah, blah, blah. And I always tell my front people, no, watch me. I'll hold out my rat card, and the minute they touch it, I start. Hi, 30-second elevator spiel. Been doing this since I was 18. I'm 68, full-time job, certified tarot master, past life specialist, psychic medium, and channel, and I don't do fluff. I am not going to tell you you're going to meet a guy with blue eyes and a limp in a bar. And right there, it is very clear I'm one of the light workers who goes, my aura don't stink.
Yeah.
I am so normal.
I love it.
And
I think it's so great.
but there are some people who really want,
I know. Yeah.
the Madame Hoo-Ha stuff. And fine, there are other readers for them.
There's plenty.
Other readers. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, okay. So you are also a reverend. And I read in one of your books, I think it was in You've Got the Magic, it was to fend off certain lawful people who are like, no, you can't here, because it's actually technically a misdemeanor to do this in some places.
I became a rev for 2 reasons. The really most important reason was, before it was the law of the land, if I had friends who bat for the same team and they wanted sacred ceremony, by God, they were going to have it. But going into the South, yes, it's just, I'm sorry, but that's the devil's work. We don't allow. Oh no, Reverend, I'm so sorry. You go right ahead. I mean, I've had rotten vegetables thrown at me walking into psychic fairs.
Oh my goodness!
I have been protested like they protest abortion clinics.
Fascinating. I'm from Kentucky, but I'm from Louisville, Kentucky. So we're like, like the Austin of kind of thing. So we'd have that kind of stuff everywhere, but it would be when I would meet somebody that wasn't from the city that they'd be like, "What?" I mean, not that I talked about it back then, but I never got.
God, you're ever doing New York.
Oh, that's true. I mean, any kind of like country. That's true. Oh my
Hmm.
goodness. Wow.
Hmm.
Okay. So good to know. Everybody write that down. Like if you want to get ordained, just like to get people off your back.
Yeah,
That's
order.
incredible.
You want a Sanctuary of the Beloved, Order of Melchizedek. It's non-denominational. It's based in New York, but I think that you can marry people anywhere in the U.S.
Fantastic. I mean, because that's the other thing. It's just making sure that everybody, if you love somebody, you should be together in the way that you want to
Yep,
be. So there you go.
that's right.
Like, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. And remember, if you'd like to know what's going on in the week ahead, or if you'd like to get a weekly tarot reading, go ahead and subscribe to my Substack, and you will receive the Sunday newsletter, This Week in the Sky. Thank you, and I will see you soon. Take care.